What made you get into filmmaking in the first place? What inspired you?
Uh, Skateboarding. Like back in the day, I wouldn't call it filmmaking, but like I skateboard all the time when I'm growing up. I was skateboarding like every single day, all day long. And then we start getting tricks. We start finding cameras, and we're like, "Yo, let's document this." And we start, getting really invested into showing off what we're capable of doing on skateboard, which I was low key trash, but it was still tight to capture it. And then eventually I realized like I'm not as good as my friends are. My friends are doing cooler tricks, like, and I love filming it. Like I should keep filming. And there's just something about like piecing things together that became like obsessive to me. And then tying that into music was like a whole nother avenue.
So you really like just stumbled upon it. It wasn't nothing that you kind of seen yourself. I seen myself always being this filmmaker or whatever.
Nah, it was like I was just doing. I didn't really think there was like a future. You know what I mean? Like, you hear like, oh, you have to do this so you can get a job when you get older. Blah blah blah. Like I skateboard. I play music. I'm in bands. I travel for shows. I watch music every time I can get a chance to watch music. I listen to music every single day. I just didn't think about, oh, next 5 years from now I'm gonna be like going through college, and then this is gonna be happening. And then I have to find a job, and then you have to pay for your retirement. I didn't know any of that. But I just felt like I was just doing the right thing at the moment, and it just felt good and it was creative to me. You know what I mean? Like I didn't really look at it as a job opportunity or like a career.
So when you was young and you skateboard and then you film it, did you almost have a sense of wonder? I would guess feeling like I don't know where my life is taking me. Was it like I had any goals, or did you almost? I don't want to say hopeless. That's the wrong word to
Yeah.
use, but
Um, I think I th- I don't think ever happened to me. Like I feel like I always felt like that's a good question. So you feel hopeless as a kid. Every kid feels hopeless. They're just kind of trying to figure out what they're interested in, right? It's like the only thing I think is dope about college is that if you don't know what you're doing, you can go there and test out some ideas, right? Same with YouTube. You can go on YouTube and test out ideas. For me, when I was a kid, it was just like I found music and I was obsessed with it, and I loved creating songs. And I started learning how to play drums, and then I was like singing at one point, and then I was rapping at one point, and then I was in the studio and producing. I'm doing all these different things. And it just kept coming to me, right? Like I just kept being involved. Nothing ever generated money, but I loved it. And I think maybe the hopeless point turned like after college, when I started becoming an adult, but I'm still in the basement of my homie's crib, writing raps, playing shows, opening up for different artists. And my other friends are like buying houses and getting their 401k and like they're on salary, they have to go to work every day. And I was like between living in my parents' basement or in a rental, like back and forth, just trying to make ends meet so I could just focus on my craft, because I believed that it was coming. I believed that something was coming. At the time it was music. I'm like, man, if we can just do this right, like we could live life like bigger than we could ever imagine here, like, I don't know. So I don't know, it's just a strange topic.
one thing that's more interesting that I definitely want to touch on is it's not like you had a set plan to say, I'm doing this, this is how I'm gonna go about it. It was really you following your passion.
Yeah.
And that's what's spoken about often. So how important do you think that was for you to do what felt right?
I mean, it's 100% important. Like, trust your gut, Like, I feel that people are often pushed off the path by everyone around them, because if I were to have caved to the feelings I felt when I was getting out of college and just been like, man, I should just go wrap it up on this music, let's go call it a day, let's just go get a job, let's go work somewhere safe, let's go get, all this stuff, I would have probably been unhappy. You know what I mean? Like, I would have been very unhappy. And instead I took this challenge of being like a freelance creator and artist or whatever, and that's terrifying, right? Like, just, you never know when the next check's coming. You don't really know what you're doing. You're trying to learn and grow without proper education, technically. Like, but I think people get pushed off the path too easily, or allow people around them to steer them in the wrong direction. But I personally always am like, if you feel like you love this, do it. If you feel like you don't love it, please go find something else. Because I know a lot of people try to come into the creative field and be like, I just want to make videos for music videos. And I'm like, do you really though? Because in 5 years, you'll still be doing this, and is that what you're gonna love doing every day? You know what I mean?
What was that moment that you said, you know what, this is what I'm doing? I'm doing videography. Like, you know how sometimes we run into those moments where we be like, you know what, I'm just going full speed with this. This is what I'm doing.
Yeah. So when I moved out to LA, I came out to pursue music and creating content, videos, photos, whatever it was, directing, anything like that. Not like to the extent of what I understand it is now, but I just liked making stuff. You know, I'm a full-time musician up to that point. We're literally playing shows, opening for Chance the Rapper to Big Crit, like Waka Flocka. Like we played, literally we'd support every artist that would come through the Midwest. So I moved out to LA to focus on that. I had a friend that had a place that I could crash at. And when I came out there, I was like, my goal was just to build a platform. I didn't know what I wanted a platform for, but if I wanted it to promote music, or if I wanted to promote whatever video I worked on, or just an outlet, I just wanted to have a voice, you know? Which then now, looking back on it, it was to build Black with No Cream. So when I came out here, the first thing that happened was my homie invited me over, and he was directing Chris Brown's documentary, so he brought me in on that. And I ended up, long story short, becoming the co-editor of the entire film. And it went out on worldwide, Netflix, iTunes. It did a whole smash of a release. Like, it was super huge. It's a controversial doc, like, you know, and I edited that. But when I first got out there, that was like the first thing that kind of landed on my lap, and I just started running with it. And then the next thing I know, by doing that, people are finding out I fly drones. People are finding out I shoot photos. People are finding out I do video. I'm being brought on this job. Now I'm editing for this music video. Now I'm shooting some BTS on this video. Now I'm shooting this in a music video. You know what I mean? All these things start picking up where it started pushing towards video and photo versus music. But it was still heavily involved in music. And I was like, that's all I want, is to like work with music. And I think at that point, that's when I kind of realized, like, oh, I'm good at this. Like, this is working, and maybe this will lead me in the path to build a platform. And then eventually, by doing videos for Q and building up an audience, now doing videos for Beyonce, building up my audience, it's like, I've built the platform. It's not the biggest one in the world, but it's something, and Black with No Cream was born out of it.
How did your parents feel initially about you, you know, skateboarding and doing camera work, and it really doesn't look like a future is in it?
Yeah, definitely.
So did they have discussions behind that? Like, you need to go get a job, or you need to do this, or did you have any of that growing up?
No, my parents are like my rock, man. Like, they super had my back. I got into music like very young, like junior high. I was listening to like these punk bands, and my parents got me a drum set at one point, which I barely ever touched. Like, didn't really take drum lessons. It was just there because they knew I liked music. And they would take us to shows. They would take me to like downtown, our hometown, where there's like a little music venue where we could go watch these little punk shows. And they were always actively like pushing us. My bands would always rehearse in their basement, which, thinking back to it, it's gotta be the most annoying thing in the world. Like, my parents work a 9 to 5, cop, a nurse. They get done with their job, and then they just hear like gang, 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 with like just rehearsing the same trash song over and over again. You know what I mean? And they didn't stop us. They didn't make us quit. You know, by 10 p.m. or something, they'd be like, all right, you gotta stop, knock it off. But like, they were very active in making me feel comfortable pursuing whatever I felt like I loved. My brother and sister are athletes. They went that path, and I love sports too. So was my dad, you know, my mom, like, they all played sports. But after a while, I was like, I quit playing baseball freshman year of high school. Played basketball and stuff like that, but then I kind of like fell out of it and just started skateboarding. I was playing paintball. I did all these like extreme sports. I was snowboarding every winter, playing music. You know what I mean? I definitely was like an oddball in my family, like just went this way, but they seemed to embrace me, which was awesome, like to have that support, you know?